theirs too.
Pretty big fish to fry. Pretty big fish to fry. My. Pretty big fish to fry. Pretty big fish to fry. My. Last weekend I very thought I'd make it out alive. Told myself I'd take time and give some more a try. I was alive. My.
Oh, everybody, it is Tuesday, June the 27th, 2017. You're checking out the premier sports and beer podcast coming to you from the great state of New Jersey in the United States of America. Thanks for taking the time, everybody, for listening. We do appreciate it. We are international now. We do appreciate the voice that brings us in every week, downloading our show. I believe it was him, anyway, over in Tokyo today. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that. Good luck on the Reagan. We thank you for your service, and we thank you for your tune, bringing us in every week. So before we introduce everybody and find out what they're drinking, how about this?
Why don't you go back home to your street malls and drink your Zimas and Smirnoff Ices? Oh, yeah! The greatest beer in all the world!
Bar.
Yeah, I like cold beverage, yeah. I like cold beverage, yeah. I like cold beverage, yeah. Cause I'm feeling kind of thirsty. Stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge, stick it in the
Huge show tonight. Huge. Huge show. Parsippany, the first remote for the Turn 2 podcast. Rocking his Dolphins colors. It's outside at bar, right? All right, we got Nick.
What's going on, Jeff? I'm taking a stand here. I'm tired of this Sean suspension.
Okay.
I'm tired of how management has handled this whole situation. I think it's been done very poorly, almost as poorly as the Knicks run their organization. So in that light, I'm taking a stand here, and I'm drinking a Coors Light for Sean out of a Miller Lite cup. You guys see that?
Wow, co-branding.
So that's for Sean.
It's good. It's good stuff right there. That's for you, Sean. All right, Sean. Just to pull back the curtain, we are in discussions with Sean to buy him out, to see if he can test the free agent market and see if he's interested in maybe returning at a different salary. It's tough to be lower than what we're currently paying him, but we'll see if he's interested in that. And so next couple of weeks, we'll have some more information for you. Denville, Brett.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, bud.
I have no further comment on the Sean suspension.
Great. That's
So,
good. You're a loyal soldier. That's why.
Yeah. I'm beer that I definitely know has been featured on the show before, Hop Pun from Carton. That's what I'm drinking tonight, a Hoppy Pale Ale. I am low. I did open this up a little early. I pre-gamed the show.
Come on.
A little bit. So there might be a time here randomly where I drop the mic and go get myself a second beer during the show. And maybe if I get around to it, I'll talk about that. But love Carton, love Hop Pun. One of my favorite late spring, early summer beers from them. So.
Okay. I'm drinking a Stone Ripper tonight. Either of you have ever had that? Stone Ripper.
No.
I'm going to say negative.
It's a rip and swell of high hops or something that says on the can. I don't know. It's hoppy. It's okay. It's not the best thing I've had by Stone, but it's not bad.
It's okay. Yeah, no. So officially for me, negative. Haven't had it.
Negative. All right. Well, I've got some in my fridge, so.
Yeah, maybe we'll make a trade in 6 months.
That'd be good. I'd probably like that a lot. Okay. Like I said, huge show. So let's waste no time. The NBA, they had a thing called the draft that the two of you don't pay attention to. They also had a bunch of trades go down, I think, since the last time we were broadcasting, and they had some dopey award show last night. So where do you want to start? Anybody have anything in particular that they'd like to talk about?
No, nothing for me in particular. I mean, the awards, I guess, were recent. I'm glad to be done with the draft because all drafts, even hockey, as much as I love hockey, all drafts are painful for me. So I'll probably struggle if we talk about the NHL draft next.
Okay.
But
what's happened in the NBA in the last week or so has actually struck a chord.
I'm laughing at, and I'm sorry, Jeff. It's not to you. I'm laughing at the Knicks having a legitimate interest in re-signing Derrick Rose.
That can't be real, right?
I mean, I don't know. I saw the story. I saw it. It was late. I don't know. I guess it was around 7:00. I mean, I read the article and just I look at it and I don't know. I get. I don't know. Maybe in Brooklyn, maybe I'd even kill to have somebody like Derrick Rose on my team. But just looking at the Knicks in the position that they're in, it just doesn't make sense to me why this would be a smart move in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know.
It's not a smart move in any way, shape, or form.
Am I missing something? I guess that's it. Like, am I missing why ownership? It seems like Phil is purposely sabotaging this.
He's bad at his job.
Is it he's that bad at evaluating talent?
I don't know if he's that bad at evaluating talent. I think it's more like he does understand the element of they've got to sell tickets, which is I think why Carmelo's still on the team or was re-signed to the team. Like there's still an element of, even though we're trying to rebuild the culture, like you still can sell tickets with 1 or 2 stars because they're sold out every game.
Yeah, and so are the Rangers. Like no matter what, the Garden will sell out. So
I just like Jackson's whole we know what we're doing. Like we're just building a culture, and I'm like, okay, but like of what? Like what exactly is this culture that you're so hell bent on building? Because you've done nothing but lose.
Guys that are 30 years old and have bad knees.
Right.
I think the first year that a new organization or regime comes in, you give that leeway period. But by year 2, your team should have an identity of what you want to instill. And the Knicks, I don't think have any identity.
I think it's worse than that, Nick, because it's like year 1, they came in. It's like, all right, well, he's gonna like basically tear the thing down and start over. But then they were like, oh no, we're gonna contend, okay? But then they stunk. And then year 2, it's like, all right, and we're gonna get Derrick Rose and we're gonna contend. It's like, okay, well now we're not. All right, so now we're gonna tear the whole. So this is plan 3, right? Like, so there's never been like an articulated plan. Like Philadelphia, they were like, no, we're gonna suck for like 5 years, and then like we're gonna have all this young talent. So like at least the Philly fans could be like, all right, well that's the plan. Like I don't have to agree with it, but at least that's the plan. Like right now,
yes,
Jackson's just a drunk sailor. Like there's no direction whatsoever.
No Philly fan could not know what this plan is.
Right.
Like it was spelled out for them explicitly. So why it doesn't happen in New York?
Right.
It's just because I think in basketball, you're always one superstar away from being a championship contender, which is a tease because obviously there's not that many people that can change a franchise around, aka LeBron or Kevin Durant. But the Knicks are just kind of holding out that hope that they're going to sign a couple max players that'll change their fortune. But if that doesn't happen, you wind up wasting about 6-7 years where you probably could have been where the Sixers are right now, but you just wasted that because you're waiting for someone to sign with you.
Yeah. So quickly, let's finish up the Knicks talk because I really don't want to talk much more about them because they're really irrelevant right now. But they did draft a guy that nobody's ever seen play. And it's funny because we were talking about it the night of the draft, and I know you guys weren't big draft fans, but I'm going there and I'm like, they're gonna draft this French kid, and Paul's like, no, they're gonna draft Monk. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, they're gonna draft this French kid because number 1, I want them to draft Monk, and they're definitely not gonna do what I want them to do, and number 2, Phil thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He's gonna take this kid that everybody's got like 10 minutes of tape on, who's been playing pro basketball in Europe since he's 15 years old. That's exactly what they did. Now, look, this guy could turn out to be terrific. He could be the next Porzingis, right? He could be just as talented as he is. But nobody knows. Nobody has a clue what this kid can do. So why would you pass on a guy like Monk who turns out like 4 or 5 other guys passed on until he got to Jordan. Then Jordan's like, I'm not passing on this guy. Like, why would you pass on something that you have a lot of footage on, a lot of tape on for somebody that you don't know? I really don't get
It's
it.
the Knicks way.
No, the Knicks way would be to throw like $100 million at Dwayne Wade when he gets bought out of Chicago. That would be the
Him
Knicks,
and Andre Iguodala build around them.
you know. I mean that's really the Knicks way.
Yes, it is.
Couple of interesting moves. Dwight Howard to the Hornets. Did that happen before our show last week? I don't think it.
Yeah,
did.
we talked about it on the show last week. Because remember, I made mention of him leaving his hometown Houston Rockets. It was
Right.
It was the Atlanta Hawks.
But I think with them getting Monk, like you've got Kemba, you've got Howard, you've got Monk, like they've got a couple of pieces there that, I mean, obviously they're not going to win the East, but they're going to be a pretty entertaining team, I think, coming out, playing in the East. I think you can't sleep on them. I think they're a playoff team.
They better be a playoff team with that talent. I mean, don't expect too many big things out of Dwight Howard, but I'd be excited. I'd be excited to be a fan and watch Monk and Kemba play together.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of those things you got to wonder, is there enough ball to go around, right? Because those are
I think
like to shoot.
I'm not comparing the two teams, but I think the Warriors prove that there is enough ball to go around.
Love our ball.
Well, that's later. Save that for later. The other thing I want to talk about was draft night. I think the Hornets were the big winner because they got Monk. I thought the other huge winner were the T-Wolves. I mean, Jimmy Butler going to Minnesota. I mean that's a huge deal for Minnesota. Now you've got Butler and you've got Wiggins and you've got the Cat. I mean, you've got a legitimate young stud, three-headed dog there down in Minnesota, playing for a guy that coaches both sides of the ball. Minnesota, to me, if I'm bailing on the Knicks, I'm all in on Minnesota. I mean, on paper, they look fun to watch.
I'm curious. I'm curious about health, because you're right. It's a good, solid core there. So if they can stay healthy and kind of wait out or start to build and get really good in like 3 to 4 years, when LeBron's coming out and the Warriors are starting to dissipate, right. That can be there's a lot of good stuff on the horizon there.
Yeah, if there's one guy that should be coaching, I think Thibodeau is the guy. He's that guy that's not going to take any crap from these young kids. Like, hey, let's slack off on defense. Like, no. He's going to make them play both sides of the ball. They're going to be intense. They're going to force turnovers. And when you have guys that maybe have attitude problems that Jimmy Butler has been accused of having, and you have guys that are coming in and out of the draft, maybe think they're entitled to something, he's the type of guy that you want there to be like, hey, none of this crap.
The interesting thing, too, is like he's coached them before. So he made the move like, I want this guy. You know what I mean? So those attitude problems, clearly Thibodeau doesn't think it's going to be a problem.
No, not for him.
The one question I did have for both of you is you look at the state of the Cavaliers, right? And that deal that they made to get Love from Minnesota. Like, if you're Cleveland, wouldn't you rather have just kept Wiggins in hindsight?
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that originally.
Yeah, but now, like, there's a bigger sample size. Like, I don't know.
There is, but it's so weird because you play the what if game. You won a title on not on the Kevin Love trade. You won a title with Kevin Love.
Right. Post trade, right.
Who knows if you would have won with Wiggins? You just don't know.
They wanted to win then. Like, they weren't ready to wait for Wiggins to develop for 3 years. They were like, we got to win now. Kevin Love's a proven starter now.
And when we say we mean LeBron.
Right.
LeBron was the one.
And I understand that they were just in the finals, and obviously they're poised to return there because LeBron is back there for another year. But if you had to right now walk into a room and pick one team to root for the next 5 years, would you choose Cleveland or would you choose Minnesota?
Just those two?
Just those two.
I'm on you. I'll do Minnesota.
I'll do Cleveland.
You would. Why would you do Cleveland?
Because LeBron is just such a transcendent player who, in my opinion, is showing no signs of slowing down. And regardless of how much of a young nucleus you have in Minnesota, still unproven to this point. I mean, I know it's different, but if you look at the Bulls last year, everyone thought they were going to be competing for a 3 or 4 seed in the East with Rondo, Wade, and Butler, and they kind of were a little bit of a disaster in terms of chemistry. You just don't know what's going to happen in Minnesota, where I know that the Cavs are going to be a legit contender for at least another, 3 years, 4 years.
If LeBron even stays there.
Well, that's my next question, Brett, right? So you're assuming, Nick, that he's staying.
I think he's staying, yeah.
God, can you imagine it? Like, if he friggin' leaves again?
Like, if he goes to the Lakers or something, like, how ridiculous would that be?
Just the town. Like the economy of one city just hinges on one human being.
One human. I don't see how he goes to the Lakers. I don't see it.
I don't see why he goes to the
Yeah. I just don't see why. It doesn't make enough sense.
To me, it only makes sense to stay in Cleveland.
Unless the Lakers and Paul George and him decide to get there together, and maybe they do sign, and maybe D Wade takes like $45 for the season, and he goes out there.
Well, does LeBron even need a salary with all those endorsements he has? I mean, come on.
No, probably not. But I mean, that's
but who's walking away from $200 million? You know what I mean? Nobody is.
right.
Interesting.
You're right. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Because they're talking about D Wade potentially getting bought out in Chicago and Carmelo potentially getting bought out in New York, and then maybe that's the possibility of them all ending up in Cleveland this year. Do you get this whole buyout thing? Like, to me, like, Dwayne Wade makes much more sense to be bought out in Chicago, because by trading Butler, you're clearly indicating that you're hitting a hard reset, right? You don't have really anything.
Yeah, and that's a bad $24 million to be hanging over your head.
Right, but it's 1 year. Like, why would you stretch that out to 5 years of $5 million a year on your cap in New York, right? I'm not talking about Dwayne Wade. Like, Dwayne Wade, I get, because they're a total rebuild. That's fine. But as far as the Knicks go, like, why would you get rid of a guy that still is he's still a contributor? Like, he's still putting up 20 plus points a game. I just don't get it. Like, it goes back to the conversation we had in this show a couple months ago, where right before the NBA trade deadline, where I'm like, why are they telling people that they're going to get rid of, they're just going to release guys and then expect to get any value for them at all? Like, there's no poker being played in the NBA amongst GMs at all. They're just like, I don't like. I'm just gonna write a check for him and go away.
I got bad breaks. They're just like,
right.
I got bad breaks. I'm out.
I guess they signed to such bad contracts. They know they're not going to get anything in return, so they're just like, let me just bite the bullet now and not have to deal with it.
But the Melo deal's not a bad contract right now, because the salary cap went up.
I know, but
I think everyone knows the Knicks are trying to get rid of him, though.
Like the Noah deal is a terrible deal, but the Melo deal, I mean, you can't tell me that a 22, 23 point a game scorer in the NBA is not worth $24 million now. He is. That's what that player gets paid.
It's not so much the money, and it is the money, but you're fortunate on the money end that did happen. The salary cap went up, so okay. But that no trade clause, man, there was no reason for it. This nightmare could have been over.
Yeah.
Could have been over.
It was the first among like many like rings of hell that Phil.
Yeah, another domino falling.
I mean, like when he's gone, there's gonna be just a book written that's gonna be like chapter 1, no trade. Yeah. No, they'll be like chapter 1, Tyson Chandler for nothing. Chapter 2, J.R. Smith and Amon Shepard for nothing. Yeah. Chapter 3, no trade. Chapter 4, Derrick Rose. Chapter 5, it just goes on and on. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And it's a series.
Chapter 5, French guy.
Because you had, the prequels. You had the Isaiah Thomas years.
Oh yeah.
Which so it'll keep going. Have no fear.
I like it. Chapter 5, Parlez-vous français. That's good. Let's get away from basketball. I know nothing about this next topic. I know the Devils had the first pick. Talk to me about the NHL draft, boys.
All right, so I just threw this in there because this guy Nico Hischier, the number 1 pick, has been on all the different sports networks. He's been on the radio, different TV shows. He went to a deli in Newark, I believe, yesterday. He's making his rounds before he heads back to Switzerland to kind of gather his belongings, say goodbye to his family, and then come over to train at the end of the summer. But I just brought it up because the debate over the last couple weeks was, do the Devils take this Nico Hischier guy out of Switzerland, or do they take Nolan Patrick? And the debate was Nolan Patrick has been a more consistent player, but he has injury concerns where teams aren't really sure if that's going to be troublesome going forward, versus Nico Hischier, who has just burst onto the scene last season when he scored 38 goals and 48 assists over the course of the year. So both of these guys should be studs, but I brought it up because the Flyers had the second pick. So whoever the Devils didn't pick, the Flyers would take, and that could haunt them for the future.
That's always the worst.
I would hate, but it could work out either way. If the Devils took Nolan and the Flyers took Nico, and Nolan's injury concerns were true, and Nico was this player just starting to hit his developmental ceiling, then we'd be haunted the reverse way. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
We don't know. I don't think either of these guys. I think the main point that I kind of took away from the draft was that neither of these guys are the next Crosby, the next Ovechkin, not even the next Connor McDavid probably. But it's exciting to have a number 1 overall draft pick. So when you get it, you're invested in it and you want to see it pan out. It's the first time this has ever happened to the Devils, even though they won the lottery a couple of years back. I forget what year, but
yeah,
they wound up having to pick, by the rule, they wound up having to pick 4th and not 1st at the time. But, it's still a long process. So trust the process, whatever that might be.
Same ownership group.
Yeah. Which is a little worrisome.
Yeah.
It might be a testament to the Devils' depth, but they're already talking about him being like a second or third line center in the upcoming season. I mean, not for nothing. The kid's really young, and I saw him like on TV and stuff, and he's really like scrawny and skinny. So he even admitted he has to get into the weight room, start building up his muscle, because you can fly around in those kind of leagues in Europe and stuff, but once you come to the NHL, you're going to get checked, you're going to get hit, and if you're not so on, you're going to be injured the whole season.
Does he speak French?
No.
I don't know.
What is it? Nico, how do you say his last name?
Hischier.
Hischier.
Nico Hischier. I come to New Jersey.
Oh, is he?
I do good season.
Is he a Russian dude?
No, he's Swiss.
Oh, okay.
But he kind of has like that kind of accent.
Russian. He's a Russian Swiss.
It's funnier if I talk like he's Russian. I go to New Jersey. I score the goals. Screw the Rangers.
I go deli Newark. You have borscht. I want Reuben sandwich.
Reuben sandwich.
Corned beef.
With side of Grey Goose.
Was there any talk at all of them trading out of that spot, since you said that it's not a Crosby-like prospect in number 1? Was there any heat at all?
You know why? Because they had like 9 other picks after that. So I guess the thought was they didn't want to like gain any other picks. They figured, let me just take what we think is the best guy and then deal with it from there.
Okay. Is that more of a hockey mentality? Because I know, like, especially in like the NFL, like if you're going to trade that pick, you're going to get like a boatload of picks in return. Like if you trade the number 1 pick in football, you could end up with like the number 2, the number 8, the number 10. Like there's no, is hockey that way, or is that very much dependent upon the year?
I mean, I'm not an expert on the whole draft, but what I read was numbers 1 and 2, Patrick and Hischier, were definitely the best 2 players out of the draft. And after that, there was kind of a drop off. So they figure if you're not going to get 1 or 2, the third pick value is not going to be nearly as close to the number 2 pick value or 1 pick value. So might as well just take what you have and move on.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
The other question I have about
Yempa will probably rip me tomorrow when he listens.
Well, he's very busy. The other question we have about the NHL draft.
Whatever, yeah, Paul.
Is it the type of thing where you stockpile talent and they go play on your farm team, or is the expectation these guys in the first round are going to be on the NHL roster, the start of next year?
They had talked about him going right into the starting lineup next year if all things work out, but there's definitely not a rush, I don't think, to throw these guys into the fire. So I guess it depends on the situation, but I think with the Devil situation where they're desperate for some offense and goal scorers and playmakers, they're probably going to be more inclined to push him towards a starting role.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, like every sport's got their own little niche there. So, anything else from the hockey draft that you guys would like to speak about or no?
Nope.
Brett?
Nope.
Who cares?
It's time for your favorite segment and mine. Who cares? Last night, Nick, I know you were watching. The music hits, and big bad LeVar Ball and LaMelo walk out from under the Titantron over there in Los Angeles during Monday Night Raw. And LeVar does some sort of strange trot down to the ring and some horrible dive through the bottom rope and lays there and has like some sort of a weird seizure looking like convulsion. Ends up taking off his shirt. He calls Lonzo out. The whole place boos him out of the building. This in Los Angeles, where this guy's now got to play his freaking professional career. Takes off his shirt, starts trying to fight with Mike the Miz, whatever the hell his name is from the real world, who's a pro wrestler now. It just like, how are these people still something that anybody's paying attention to?
Well, we paid attention. That's exactly what they wanted, right?
You're talking about it on the top-rated iTunes podcast.
I mean, this is exactly what they hoped
that
for.
discusses sports and beer specifically with people from around the United States.
People on Monday Night Raw are probably like, Vince McMahon is like, we got to get LeVar Ball on Raw so they can talk about it on a Turn 2 podcast.
I mean,
it's going to be great.
That's classic Vince, right? Like, get me Lonzo Ball, get me LeVar Ball immediately.
It is. And like, that they didn't pay them. Like, LeVar was like, I want my T-shirts in the background.
Mhm.
McMahon's like, yeah, sure. No, we'll put some mannequins in the background. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Yep, that's exactly that. Honestly, might have been how the conversation went down verbatim.
But, you want some big baller brand T-shirts? No problem.
I got them all.
Sell them at the stadium. Co-brand.
Yeah,
I don't know. And then apparently LaMelo, which I can't like. It doesn't even. Does that sound like a real person's name? Honestly,
LaMelo.
like I don't know if it's because we've been talking about Carmelo and I just say Mello all the time, but I hear LaMelo and I think it's something that I came.
Like Lamar Odom, Carmelo, like had a fusion person.
Right, it's just wacky. But LaMelo was caught dropping the N-bomb on a live mic last night. I don't know if did you catch that, Nick? Or
Yeah,
not?
I caught it.
So that was interesting.
I was like, it was like cringeworthy because
So
LeVar Ball, like when he takes off his shirt, he does like this weird arm motion and like starts like gesturing towards like he's gonna like. It's almost like he tried to be intimidating, but it just came off as very cringeworthy and like it was just uncomfortable to watch.
it was a horrible segment, and realistically, if they had this soundbite, they would have played it to end it.
Who cares?
All right, that would have absolutely ended it. The next one, I read this one. Vince Young is angry.
Oh yeah, this is good.
I see this. Vince Young is angry that, quote, garbage, end quote, Ryan Fitzpatrick is still playing, but he's not. He's, quote, over here in the kitchen cooking turkey necks. And
what's that mean? I saw this in the rundown. I don't know what that phrase means.
Never heard that before.
That's what he was quoted as saying. He's over there in the kitchen cooking turkey necks.
Now, do either of you know what happened to him? He was supposed to be in like the Canadian Football League or something. What happened? They said like something happened where he wasn't allowed to play or something.
He stinks.
Vince has always he's had
stinks.
issues.
Oh, that might be it.
He's got issues. First of all, I don't. Is it a good thing to be cooking turkey necks or a bad thing to be cooking turkey necks?
I don't know.
I have no.
I don't know why. I don't know why that was his quote. Like, it's like, all right, we're gonna go interview Vince Young, and he's gonna sit here and talk about how Ryan Fitzpatrick is garbage. And
Did he talk?
Oh, so hold on. He did sign with a Canadian team. He signed with the Saskatchewan Roughriders to a 2-year contract a couple months ago.
But he tore his hamstring.
So what is he out for the year?
I guess, yeah. Well, he's
With a hamstring tear?
now he's cooking turkey necks.
In the kitchen.
How do you think you cook a turkey neck?
It seems like something you would boil.
I would try to sear it maybe.
I think you pan fry it.
I would try to
Ooh,
sear
like
it on
a
the
little-
grill.
like a balsamic reduction, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking up
on the
which
grill.
one's
Get
that.
that outside crispy, and then you put it in the pan with a slow simmer with some, maybe reduce it with some wine, maybe.
That's not a bad idea. What we should do is, since apparently we do podcasts outside now, we should next time we're all in the vicinity of each other, we should get some turkey necks and just experiment a little bit as to how to.
There's wild turkeys in my backyard all the time, so that won't be a problem.
Good. No, so we'll just grab them. We'll bite its neck, like LeVar Ball, take our shirts off style. It'll be great. It'll be great. Which one of you has a story?
Me.
Chris Sims.
It makes it seem. It's kind of funny. I just reread this, and it makes it seem like I talked to Chris Sims this morning.
Yeah.
And he told me an interesting story about.
So you were talking to Chris Sims today.
So I was talking to my buddy Chris Sims today,
Yeah.
and he was telling me, because I was saying, they were talking about this. Did Vince Young mention Jeff Fisher at all in the
Guts?
Right? Yeah, like he would, and Chris was kind of coming to the defense of Fisher. Chris was like, "I've played for a lot of coaches. He's one of the most stand-up guys, best coaches I've ever played for, hands down. There's nothing that I've ever perceived or saw him do towards Vince or about Vince that would ever be not of Vince's own doing." And he was like, Vince has a lot of problems. Chris was like, I was at the training facility one time, and all of a sudden I get a call, and Coach Fisher gets a call, and Vince is just at the facility with a gun and just saying and just spouting off crazy shit. Just nobody can really understand what he's saying, and he's with a gun, so they think he's going to kill himself. So the police come and everything, and now Vince Young's mad that he has to be. This every time he walks to the airport.
This was in
Tennessee.
Well, that's what I'm saying too. And they had the whole. Didn't they have the whole Steve McNair thing?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Am I remembering that wrong? Like it's not like they don't have, like, they had a reason to be concerned.
Yeah. And he was like, like, he wasn't good taking criticism. He just had problems, man. And
I like how the stories, like, he's out there waving his gun around. It's like that skit from the Eminem CD. It's like,
yeah,
what's going on? It's Paul. I heard you're out back shooting your gun up in the air like an idiot. Like, that's essentially what you're hearing here.
That's exactly what I'm hearing. And I got mad because I was like, if Kaepernick doesn't have a job, then you shouldn't have a job.
I agree.
Like, knock it off. Go back to the kitchen and cook turkey
Vince
necks.
Young, turkey necks.
Who cares?
This one was interesting. Tim Tebow's moving up.
Woo!
Who cares?
How about we go to John McEnroe? John McEnroe was quoted as saying that Serena Williams would be ranked 700 if she played on the men's circuit. She politely told him, "Shut your mouth." What do we think?
Yeah, but wasn't he was like set up about it. He was asked a question where someone was like, "Well, where do you think Serena would rank?" And he didn't like come out and just say it. He was asked about it. He was like, "I don't think she'd really rank with the men at all." I mean, what do you expect him to say?
Right.
I think that's pretty clear, right? Like, the top men are going to crush her.
Obviously.
But she's not. She admitted that. And I mean, I just think it's probably a little hyperbole, right? There's probably not 699 better men's tennis players in the world than Serena. But I mean, definitely the top 10 would murder her.
I don't think there's 20.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. But I mean, I know for a fact that the top 10 would absolutely destroy.
Oh yeah, Nadal and Federer, they would just run off the court.
But this story right here, for any of you that are new to the podcast, for any of you that have only caught a couple of our shows, this story is exactly why this segment exists. Because the mainstream sports media writes stuff that they want you to care about. And realistically, when I read something like this,
Who cares?
is all I could possibly think of, because it's such garbage. And they put the words in McEnroe's mouth. They forced Serena to respond to it. And then McEnroe did, from what I've seen, what he should have done, which was just let it lie. Right? Have you heard anything from Johnny Mac since? I have.
He's like, I don't care. Who cares?
Which is so interesting, because when is John McEnroe the guy that just let it lie? But you're right.
He probably reached out to her and was like, "Listen, this is how this went down." So,
yeah.
I didn't tweet it. It wasn't like I was like trying to get my name in the news. I'm sorry that it pissed you off. So
I'm gonna go get drunk with Mr. Deeds and throw eggs at cars in the city.
and watch Charles Oakley get thrown out of the garden.
Who cares?
Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was quoted today saying there was no way McGregor will be able to, quote, land a meaningful punch on Floyd. How could he? He has no professional experience in boxing, end quote. What do you think?
Probably.
He's not wrong.
You think that, or do you think it's sour grapes?
I tend to see that Conor will not be able to really land a significant, meaningful punch on Floyd.
Well, is this another like mainstream media setting up Pacquiao? Were they like enticing him with questions, or did he just come out and say it?
Maybe he was singing, right? Doesn't he sing? Isn't he he's like a congressman in the Philippines, and he's like a recording artist?
I think he does just like everything in the Philippines. They're like, are you in Congress? Yes. Are you the janitor as well? Yes. Like, do you want a restaurant? Yes. Like,
yes.
He's everything in the
Cook
Philippines.
me some turkey necks in the kitchen? Yes.
Yes.
100%. 100%. Yes. And the turkey neck.
I don't think he's wrong.
You don't, huh? You think he's right?
Yeah. I mean, Conor, and trust me, I'm not downplaying the athleticism that is Conor McGregor. He's more of an athlete than I will ever dream to be.
Right.
He has no clue how fast Floyd Mayweather is. He has no clue.
The one thing Pacquiao also said, he goes, I think it's going to be really boring.
Of course.
He was like, I think he's just going to block everything. It's going to be really boring.
Well, his fight was boring.
Well, I think that's why he's like intelligently speaking about it. He's like, yeah, don't waste your money. You know,
I'm gonna waste my money.
I'm gonna go somewhere where someone else has wasted their money. I think that's the plan. But we'll see.
Who cares?
All right, that brings us out of that segment. We do have something interesting, I think, to talk about. Brett, why don't you set this up, because you sent it to us as a text message, and I thought it was a really cool topic to talk about. I know JP's going to call in a little bit and weigh in on it. So
JP's been on hold for 4 hours.
Well, you know, we gotta make him work a little bit for it. So why don't you set it up, Brett?
Yeah, Jeff. Did you understand the words that I was typing? I just want to make sure.
Not really.
I think I
can
can help
be able to process
with the legal
Yeah,
thing.
It's complicated. It's a lot of lawyers speak, a lot of jargon, really, that might be above your head. So at any time, if you get confused, just tell me. I'll stop. Okay.
I do have a feeble non-legal mind.
I concur.
I appreciate you dumbing it down for those of us that aren't going places. Thanks.
Yeah. The United States Supreme Court has agreed to hear the case about New Jersey allowing and legalizing sports betting. So I was pumped because I've kind of looked forward to this for since I discovered you could actually take your own money and place it down on a game and bet. So the fact that my home state has a shot with the Supreme Court, and what I think what is encouraging to me is the Supreme Court was petitioned twice on behalf of the people that want to block this bill and the courts that have struck it down to not hear this case. And it was widely expected that the Supreme Court wasn't going to hear the case. And they kind of went the other way and were like, no, we're going to hear it. So the fact that they want to even bring it to their own attention, you know how complicated, the legal system can be and the appellate courts, but to make it all the way to the Supreme Court and have them agree to hear your case makes me think that they do have a chance at getting this legalized. So I'm excited for it. And I was kind of pumped. You, Jeff, I think kind of took the opposite way a little bit. So I'd love to hear your side of it, or if JP has another take.
Well, let me ask you this. So you think that they being the Supreme Court have agreed to hear it because you think that there's a chance that that'll open it up? You don't think that maybe they're hearing it, they can look at it and say, hey, we're going to hear this once and we're going to tell you no, and then all 48 others of you sit down and don't ask again?
Maybe it just doesn't seem worth the Supreme Court's time, in my opinion, to do that when they could be working on something else. But you're right. I mean, maybe the final of the other 48 of you sit down But that seems so odd to me. That seems so anti-American to me that the U.S. Supreme Court would do that.
Yeah, and no branch of the federal government
No,
seems anti-American.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying in the interest of states' rights, I guess. Why grant something to Nevada that only they can have and nobody else can?
Okay, so let's go around and ask. So you're clearly overwhelmingly in favor of at least New Jersey being allowed to have sports gambling.
Very much so.
Okay, are you? And so I'll ask that one. That's yes. Second question: are you in favor of nationwide legalized sports gambling?
Sure, I guess so.
Less enthusiastic, but yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
affirmative on both.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick. First question: New Jersey sports gambling in favor?
Yes.
Nationwide sports gambling in favor?
Yes. Get the filthy government out of my life.
All right.
Or in it to tax it. Either or.
All right. And then caller, JP in Lincoln Park. Legalize sports betting in New Jersey, yay or nay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Legalize sports gambling nationwide, yay or nay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the entire panel thinks that it should be legal in New Jersey. The entire panel also thinks it should be legal throughout the country. I agree with both of those sentiments. I think it should be legal across the board. If you're going to have it legal in Nevada, you should have it legal everywhere else. Okay?
Especially when there's a sports team going there.
Right. So, but I think that's going to be fuel for the fire, right? I think it's going to be like, all right, well, you've got the Vegas Golden Knights that are going to be playing, as soon as October, and then you've got the Raiders who are going to be there not next year but the following year, correct? Or is it 2 years?
2018.
2018.
So you've got two professional teams playing in the city where it's legal. So it takes away a little bit of the the danger of somebody's going to throw a game or some absolutely ridiculous argument. Here's my only argument against why I kind of hope it doesn't happen. There's an allure to Las Vegas right now that it's the place where that can occur. And I don't know if it would lose that allure for some people that go there and sit at the sports book. For me, I kind of like that that's the place where you can go to do that. And I know that I'm going to get just beat up in this argument, but for me, I think that it's a cool thing that Vegas is the place where you go to do that, and everywhere else you don't get a chance to.
Oh, good. Take a stand for what you believe in. But yeah.
But that being said, if they legalize sports gambling in New Jersey, like we're probably going to be somewhere at a sports book the first round against the NCAA tournament, just watching it and throwing a small amount of money on it.
So here's my take on that argument, though, Jeff, is people are gambling regardless,
right,
no matter where they are in the United States to begin with, and it's all going offshore. There's no sports book in Nevada that's got online gambling for the most part that's legal in other states, because you can't bet legally when you're sitting in New Jersey. You can't bet legally on a sports event. You physically have to go to Nevada. But people are going and they're doing it anyway on like 6 times or what. Now, I have to say, I'm not actually a sports bettor, but I'm very adamant about allowing people to bet because they've been doing it in Europe for decades. And outside of the onesie-twosie issues with, soccer games getting fixed or whatever, there really isn't, a cry to stop it, or a cry to say, there's so much tampering going on that this is a bad thing for sport. The other thing is this thing started in, I guess, 2011 is when it was on the ballot in New Jersey, and it was overwhelmingly like 2-1 was voted to have it in New Jersey. And then, all the major sports companies, all the major sports brands got involved and sued them. Since that time, every single one of them has changed their stance. 2 of them have teams, like you said, going to Nevada. the NBA, the commissioner of the NBA, flat out said, I'm for it at this point. But they're at this point looking more to Congress to do things. So I guess I'm wondering if while this is great that the Supreme Court's actually going to hear this, I start to wonder now if it even gets to that point, and if Congress acts before the Supreme Court to repeal what's called the PASPA, I think it is, which is what's pretty much stopping a lot of this. So it's just a weird thing, but I'm all about it because it's tax revenue for a lot of these states that are hurting. But that's pretty much what I wanted to say, and that's why I told Jeff I wanted to jump on this, because it's a sports issue, but it goes a lot deeper than just sports and sports betting.
I think that your opinion there is, I think there's a lot of people in the country that share that opinion, the taxable revenue aspect of it as well. And I think that's a larger discussion. I think there's a lot of people that, you yourself, you said you're not a sports gambler, but you get the revenue side of it. I think there's a lot of people that have the same argument for the legalization of recreational marijuana. I think it's a similar argument. If they legalized any recreational drug at this point, I'm not going out and doing it. But at the same point, I understand, legalizing it for revenue purposes. So my question to you, JP, the reason why I did want you to call in for the whole thing is you are in a situation where you work in a stadium. You work, basically security, crowd control in a stadium, in the metropolitan area. This gets legalized. Like you look at a situation like what's going to happen in Vegas. From my understanding, they're going to allow them to bet on the game in the stadium. Like it's going to be an option that they're going to be able to go to something and place bets in the stadium. So from somebody who works these games and sees the situations that they see now, what do you see as far as any kind of hurdles or any kind of challenges that a security team would have to go through if this became something that was added to your plate?
Oh, Jesus. Well,
in our area.
In our area, I mean, I don't know. I mean, call me biased because I work at MetLife, but I think our security team is pretty good, and it would just be another thing to add on to what they already deal with on a game-to-game basis. I mean, I know Jeff, you're there, for the Jet season games, and you see them in action. So, I'm pretty sure you can say the same thing.
It'll be refreshing to have something else to actually pay attention to them.
Yeah, but that being said, I actually hadn't heard about them saying that they're going to allow betting inside these stadiums. I mean, with the original plan with the New Jersey thing was because it's so they weren't going to allow. I know for a fact they weren't going to allow betting on NCAA events. So like Rutgers events in New Jersey, actually physically played in New Jersey, wouldn't be allowed to be bet on. And I thought that was a great thing because you really don't want to deal with another situation, that happened previously in the NCAA with sports betting. So I get that part. I don't think, to your question, Jeff, I don't think there's going to be much security-wise that you'd have to worry about on a game-in, game-out basis as far as betting is concerned. I mean, I have conversations with these people, with guests all the time, season tickets holders all the time, and they're always talking to me about, oh, yeah, well, I'm betting this line or I'm betting that line, or, everybody constantly talks about betting when you're inside the stadium. I don't think anything's really going to change much, even if it becomes legal. The people are betting on it anyway.
So all right. So that's a good take. You did say something that I do want to get the opinion of the other two guys on, and that's any college games played in state would be off the list. I'm of the opinion that you can't be half pregnant. So if you're going to do it, just do it. Nick, I guess I'll throw it to you first, and then Brett will give you the last word on it. What's your take on college games being included, in-state college games being included or excluded on the docket for Jersey gambling?
I'm in favor of it being included because I think that the amount of revenue that these games generate and the NCAA generates It's pretty much like another professional sports league. So, in my opinion, just let it go.
Okay, Brett.
You're talking specifically in state. Like I can't bet Rutgers or Princeton.
Right. So if Rutgers,
If Rutgers is playing Penn State at High Point Solutions Stadium on a Saturday, you cannot bet on that game because it's taking place in New Jersey. However, if it was a road game at Beaver Stadium, you would be able to bet. You would be able to bet on it.
Jeff, I agree with you that you can't be half pregnant. So I think I would probably have to rely on the fact that, that better be included as well. Although, like, it doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. Like, how many college? What's the regular season in college? Like 12 games, 13 games, 14 games, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 12 games plus a conference.
12 games. So 6 are on the road. So this is only really an occurrence 6 times a year.
5 or 6, yeah.
So, like, is it that important? No. But, like, you're really that's such an odd outlier of you can do it all, but you can't do this small thing. Like, who cares?
okay, but there's two things at play there. Like, you can't overlook the absolute hypocrisy that we can't bet on college games if it's going on in the state that are played in High Point Solutions Stadium, right? Like, we'll take the sponsors' money to put on the stadium, but we can't bet on these young collegiate the amateur athletes. I mean, come on, like,
yes, absolutely, the hypocrisy of college sports. I agree.
Just shove it up your ass, right? Second thing is, now, granted, we're not in a situation right now where this is going to happen, because I don't think we have the facility with a roof on it. But what happens when and if something gets a roof on it and the Final Four comes to New Jersey? Then you're going to say, okay, we're going to have the Final Four, or we have the Final Four here, but you can't bet on it because it's in the state. I mean, that's ridiculous.
So I just say, let it go. Just let it go.
So we'll see. I think it's an interesting case study, and I think if it goes the way that Brett, you're anticipating it's going to go, whereas that they get a fair shake, and if they get told yes, I think it really begins a sweeping appeal from the rest of the nation. That would be an interesting thing to look at. But if it's a, if they're bringing this up just so that they can look at you and give you a hard no, that's got to really close the door, right?
I mean, for decades at least.
Yeah,
it'll close the door for decades.
Yeah, so. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Baseball. You got a lot of stuff here for baseball. Who wants to lead off?
Yeah, I decided I wanted to talk baseball, but I feel like that's punishing. So, I do now wish Paul was here to do this, but the Yankees are coming in. They're now in the middle of the third inning against they're 0-0 against the White Sox tonight, but they've come in, they've lost 10 of their last 13 games. Their bullpen and their starting pitching have just, except for Sans Jordan Montgomery,
which is crazy.
They've really been kind of finding ways to pretty much lose nightly. And it's been tough to watch. I mean, they won last night, and they almost won in spite of themselves last night. They were up 6-1 in the ninth, going to the bottom of the ninth. And next thing you know, it's a 6-5 game, and there's a runner on second with 1 out. And they came that close to blowing it again. It's like the team, they fall down early to Texas on Sunday, 7-0 or 6-0. They battle back and they lose 7-6. It's like they can't quite flip that switch that to start to propel them back to their winning ways. And then on top of that, they lose their 2, their 4, their 5 hitters all in a span of a week. Matt Holliday's just tired. He feels completely zapped of energy. He has no energy.
Allergic reaction, I believe.
Was it allergic?
Is that what it was?
That's what it said. Some allergic reaction.
Because he doesn't wear a freaking undershirt. Weird.
Yeah, he had a rash from his jersey.
You look here. There's 2 ways to look at that, Brett. Is that they got a lot of stuff going down, and that they're zapped of energy, and pitching staff's been inconsistent. And the other way to look at it is they're never dead, right? That game on Sunday, like, they were getting their ass kicked. And before you knew it, you turned around and it was a game again. And I was like, wow, I can't believe that they're back in this game. So to me, that's everything that we talked about last week that we were looking for from this team is you're watching the kids come and play and do their thing.
Sure.
I also saw a stat today that the Yankees have not had a single game this year where they've had their entire projected starting lineup healthy. Good, the projected starting lineup from the start of the year healthy. Not a single game. And they're in first place. So I mean, look.
Yeah, and they're in first place. And listen, no one's going to feel sorry for you when you get injured. Like the team-wise. It happens to every team. So you can't just sit there and be like, oh, we're hurt. That stinks.
What's the deal with Castro?
He's got a hamstring strain.
10-day DL.
So they're just shutting him down for 10?
Yeah.
Probably 2 weeks.
All right. Well, that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, but he led the team in hits.
Yeah, and I'm not really sold on the backups.
No, but look, you're going to go through stretches in the year where that's going to happen, and we just got to accept that that's the way that it's going to be.
No, you do. You have no choice. You're right.
What about the other side of the island there, with the Mets?
I wish I had news. When I checked before, they were 10.5 out of the division, 11 games out of the wild card. So they stink.
They have a 3-game set starting tonight with Miami. The Nationals pretty much won the division already, but it'll be interesting to see which team is going to start flopping first, I guess. Not that it matters much to Yankee fans, but
I saw an article. I think it was Asdrubal Cabrera asked to be traded. Did anybody see that?
No, I didn't. Wait.
I thought that too.
Yeah, I saw that headline.
Because he's fed up with how he's being treated. I saw that they're going to be sellers. So I mean, who the hell knows what any of that means, right? I mean, does it mean they're going to trade Matt Harvey? Does it mean they're going to trade, Noah Syndergaard? I don't think so. You know what I mean? So who knows what that means? They're going to trade off. But a disappointing year, for the Mets when you came into the entire thing and
when your fans predicted 100 wins.
What the fuck is Jay Bruce?
You think you're gonna win 100 games according to some fans, like you said, Nick. To be fair, the majority of
we're gonna be good this year. We're gonna be good.
The majority of fans in this area, Mets or Yankees fans, assumed that they were going to be contenders, right? I mean, we didn't assume that they were going to be this bad.
No, we should have.
Specifically the Mets you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought they were going to be contenders.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I'm not sad because I don't really care one way or the other. But I know that's what this team's doing to him. I mean, it's just brutal. If you're a Met fan right now, look, let me put it this way: thank God that I'm a Yankee fan, because if you're in this town right now and you're a Knicks, Jets, Mets fan, just
mail it in.
Just bullet in the mouth. Just eat a bullet. It's just brutal. It's just brutal.
So the question with the Mets too is does Collins last July?
I never really see when you're out that far out, I don't see how changing a manager is going to help that club specifically. So why not just ride it till the end of the year? But
Sure.
What's his contract situation? Doesn't he have? I think he's this year and next year. I think. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I was actually going to look
I
at
feel like with managers though, the contracts don't matter because
No,
they're going to stay with the team or they just get fired. The contract means nothing.
Right. So I
Yeah.
feel like they'd just ride it out and fire him in the offseason.
Contract means nothing except for if your owners lost like $13 billion with Bernie Madoff, and then suddenly the contract matters.
That might put things in different perspective. I don't know.
I did catch. I don't know if any of you caught this. The Wizard of Lies or whatever it was on the HBO movie with De Niro playing Bernie Madoff. Any of you catch it?
No.
Oh, you got to watch it. Bernie he plays Bernie Madoff, and Michelle Pfeiffer plays the wife. And it's just I watched the one on ABC. I guess it was almost a year ago, where Richard Dreyfuss played Bernie. And I watched it on ABC, and that was okay. And this one was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy did this. Like I couldn't believe, like, you're watching this and I'm like, this happened. Like I know it's a dramatization, but like this happened.
Yeah.
You know? And
That's
like,
exactly my thought when I was watching The Big Short. Did you guys see that movie?
Literally was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I was like watching it. I'm like, I know what all happened, and I know like it's over, but like I cannot believe that all these people were able to buy houses.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff where like these people had like 4 or 5 houses. It's unbelievable how this stuff happened.
Yeah. But check it out for those of you that are listening, and for you guys that haven't seen it. If you have HBO Now or HBO Go or whatever it is, look it up. Wizard of Lies. Very, very good. Couple check-ins before we go to last licks. We got Ryan Rizik checking in with a couple of comments. First one in regards to our sports gambling thing. You know, if any state should be against it, it'll be Nevada because they stand to lose the most money, which I think is definitely a valid argument. Number 2 from Ryan, it says it seems like a manager means almost nothing now throughout the entire league. You guys agree with that? Disagree with that?
It's weird. Now, like 10 years ago, I would have agreed with it. Now I disagree with it.
Okay, why?
I think now if you're more inclined to be a more sabermetric friendly manager, then your decisions in game do matter. Whereas the old school managers were literally just like, fuck it, let's bunt here. You know, like
like when Joe Torre used to sit with Derek Jeter's bat.
Ricky.
Remember that?
Yeah, Paul.
Torre would sit with Jeter's bat, and he would like get some sort of omen about what to do in the next inning. Like
Exactly.
Like that's how we managed.
So that's how guys managed back then. So, you know, they were useless back then, you know. now if you're and I don't know, you know, all the front offices are employed with you know, sabermetric forward thinking employees that analyze advanced statistical numbers. But if you buy into that and you're making your decisions based on that, I value you as a manager. And if you don't, then you are useless.
Okay. Anybody have a different take?
No, that's right. That's 2017 baseball right there.
That's 2017 baseball. As long as you move your shortstop to the other side of second base, that's 2017 baseball. Because why would we need somebody that's on that side of the bag? Let's go to last licks. Last licks for tonight. The Big 3 basketball league started. Anybody see that? Anybody catch any of it?
Nah.
So
I caught some highlights.
This is Ice Cube's league, if I remember correctly.
Just the one with the 4-point shot.
Yeah, and they're playing 3-on-3. Allen Iverson's like a player, coach, manager type of thing. They had Jason Williams, White Chocolate playing. He got
Jason
hurt.
Williams.
Not anymore. Yeah, not anymore. Did you see that drive? It was non-contact. He just driving, jumped up and was like, and fell right down.
I think he jumped up and was like, I'm 40. I'm
Yeah.
40. You know, and Allen Iverson played like such a small amount of time.
Did he not make it abundantly clear at the end that he was like not playing ever again?
He totally did. He's like 40.
That should help with ratings.
Well, look, realistically, I think conceptually it's an interesting idea, especially now that they've added 3-on-3 to the Olympics. Like I think there could be a market for it to pick up some steam. I like the time of year that they're doing it. It screams XFL, like while basketball is not happening type of thing. But like, you know, basketball can be an outdoor summer sport. So if they're able to secure some outdoor spaces to do these things, outdoor spaces to do, it could be interesting. It's kind of like beach volleyball, right?
Oh, I love beach volleyball.
I'd be down with it if there are a little more. I need more names. I need more names attached, or I need like the guys from like Rucker Park playing.
Right.
Because
But I don't think you would get the ratings for that if they were the guys from Rucker Park.
I mean, maybe not, but like I can like reading the articles, like they'd like name the teams. They'd be like, and this team's headed by former great Ronnie Flowers. Don't you remember Ronnie from the
John Sally?
Hawks? And you're like, oh man, okay, that's
Maybe if
the
they went
guy.
on WWE Monday Night Raw, it might be better.
True story. You know, if it was all based on Monday Night Raw ratings, then
Got some big baller t-shirts.
#1 rated cable show for like 30 years in a row.
Love our ball.
whatever. We'll see. Look, I think a guy like Paul Pierce would do wonders for that league now that he's going to walk away.
Yes.
If they can get a couple of guys that are like 1 or 2 years out of the league, I think that you can get the juice, even like a Ray Allen. Like if you had Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, like coming back together, like, bridging that gap from.
That'd be amazing.
Like people would watch that, I think. I think it could be entertaining. Shout out to Paul.
Yeah, I told him I'd do this. I said, Paul, I'm going to give you a shout out because Paul finally won a raffle item at the Freeland Open Golf Tournament this past after a 6-year drought of not winning any raffles where there's like 55 prizes, 45 guests, and each guest buys like 10 tickets. And Paul would never win a thing. And finally, late in the game in the raffle this year, Paul's ticket is called. He wins a golf towel. 6-year streak broken. I told him I'd give him a shout out. So great job, Paul.
What were some of the prizes?
They give out some good stuff, man. Like in the beginning, and the prizes go like incremental. So first they do a couple, like 2 cash envelopes.
That's not shady.
I forget. Well, they give out cash prizes based on the flights, the way the tournament breaks down. So they do like 4 flights, and they'll give cash prizes to 3rd place, 2nd place, 1st place in each flight. And then they'll have like 2 extra envelopes, so they raffle off like 2. Then they'll raffle off a couple clubs, like maybe like half a dozen clubs, like a couple of sand wedges, some putters.
So there's some good stuff. So his streak was broken, but he still only got a fucking towel.
He got a golf towel. Yeah, I won a Under Armour shirt, which I liked, a cooler bag, half a dozen balls, and 200 tees. That was my winnings just this year alone. And Ras happens. I don't know if you'll know this about Ras. Ras happens to win like enormous prizes every year. Like he takes home a driver like every year. He's taken home so many golf clubs. Paul bought one of the golf clubs off of Ras.
I like how he's selling it to him too.
Yeah. So not only did Ras win that, he then made money off of it.
What's the market value on something that you got for free?
I don't know. Oh, actually, I should say I didn't know. I bought a driver off of Ras one time that he got for free too.
Nice.
The funny thing is, I was going to make a joke that he won like a sleeve of golf balls, and I actually wasn't that far off.
No,
probably worth it.
Ras has fantastic luck with that. Ras won tickets to the Masters, so he's got golf luck on his side. But anyway, shout out to Paul.
Shout out to Paul. We have 8 shows left before our 1-year anniversary, and my goal, I'm putting it out there right now, on that 1-year anniversary, is anybody that's ever appeared on the show, aside from those guys that were at Ship Bottom Brewing, who I don't think we'll ever speak to again, not because we don't like them, but because we don't know them really. Anybody that's appeared on the show has got to be on. So Ras, you're on blast, even though you're probably not listening. You're a founding member. You got to be on for that anniversary show.
I like it.
Thank you guys for taking the time to listen. A couple of housekeeping stuff from us. We are expanding our reach. I've reached out to a couple of people through social media to see how they listen. We are expanding to Stitcher is the plan. We're in TuneIn right now. We're also on SoundCloud. So if you are somebody that is listening on not a Apple device and you're struggling to find us, and you're maybe watching us on Facebook Live or whatever you're doing, try to find us on some other downloadable platform, because that's our goal. And if there's somewhere that you listen to podcasts and you can't find us, let us know. turn2podcast@gmail.com so that we can hook that up and try to make that happen for you. Our goal is to make it as easy as possible, not to have you searching all over the internet to listen to our dopey show. Follow us on social media, Turn2 Podcast. Our Snapchat is
lit.
And again, shout out, much love to Ed from Ed Tang and the Chops. He is, I believe, right now on board the Ronald Reagan, floating around in Asia somewhere. So much love to him. And I'm going to go ahead and make an executive decision until the day he returns safely off of the ship, not necessarily back to the mainland because he's going to be in Asia for a while, but off of the ship. we are going to close with our original closing. So thank you guys for taking the time. We definitely appreciate it. And until next time, we'll catch you then.
Desperandum, dear lady. Across the desert lies the promised land. Goodbye, Mrs. Gloop. Adieu. Auf Wiedersehen. Gesundheit. Farewell.
Fare thee well to you, my own true love. River Mercy, farewell. I am bound for California, a place that I know right well. So fare thee well, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. Now I signed on a Yankee clipper ship. Davy Crockett is the name, and the captain's name, it is Burgess, and they say that she's a floating shame. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. Now I sailed with Burgess once before, and I think that I know him well. If a man's a sailor, he will get along. If he's not, then he's sure in hell. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. All right, Gio. Oh, the sun is on the harbor, love. Oh, I wish that I could remain, for I know that it will be a long, long time before I see you again. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. One more time. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee.
Well, my hangover's gone and I'm thirsty for more.